All right, so our first question is, how do I know if what you teach is actually for someone like me? I'm not brand new, but I also don't feel as confident or consistent as I want to be. So, first off, I have discovered that confidence comes from competence. And the more competent you are in something, the more confident you are in it. And the best way to get more competent at something is to just keep doing it over and over and over again. And there's this bell curve when you start to learn something new. When you first start doing something, you don't know what you don't know. And you're confident because you're like, yeah, I got this. I'm competent. And then you come up against something that you don't know how to deal with. And now all of a sudden, you know what you don't know, which is when your confidence is going to take a dip because you realize that you're not as competent as you thought you were. So my goal with these videos is to be able to give you some tools that are going to help increase your competence in the way that you do things. You know what you're doing now, which is going to increase your confidence, which is going to make everything easier. So not only are you confident, you're competent as well. As for consistency, I think that also kind of comes out of competence. The better you are at something, the more consistent you're going to be able to be at it. You're going to know what to do, and you're going to know how to repeat that process over and over and over again, which is where your consistency comes from. I know how to use my camera, and I can definitely get some good photos, but a lot of the time my work still doesn't feel the way I want it to. Is that the kind of thing you can help with? I hope so. Like we just talked about, my goal is to give you tools to make you competent so that you can feel confident, and then that's going to show in your work. I'm going to try and break down why things work or why things don't work, and like the actual structure and how to do what you are feeling, because sometimes it's really hard to take this abstract feeling or idea of what you want it to be like and then put it into like concrete steps. I was like, well, if I want this feeling, I have to do X, Y, Z, Z. And as artists, sometimes that's really hard, and I just had to figure it out over and over and over again. I just had to keep trying stuff and keep trying stuff and keep trying stuff until I found something that actually stuck and fit and worked for me. So I can tell you what works for me and how I work to get my photos to feel the way that I am imagining them in my head at the time. And then I want you to take that and I want you to make it your own. And I want you to build on that, and I want you to expand on that, because just copycatting me isn't going to make it feel like yours. All we're doing here is I'm giving you some ideas, I'm telling you what worked for me, and then it gives you a little bit of fodder to get the wheels turning and to start to think, okay, yeah, that makes sense, or no, I don't like that, and build it into something and make it your own. When you look at a photographer's work and it feels a bit stiff or flat, what are the things you notice right away that tell you what's going wrong? So the stiff is going to be coming from your people, and the flat is going to be coming from your light. So things can be stiff but not flat, and they can be flat but not stiff, or any combination of the two. And I think we're going to stick with like talking about the stiffness, because flatness has to do with your lighting, and then that's your landscape, and that's your backgrounds, and that's the time of day, and that's a whole other discussion that gets more into like the technicalities of photos. But the stiffness and the posing is kind of what we're focusing on for these videos here. And people get stiff usually when they're uncomfortable. And so the most important thing you can do as a photographer is actually just make your clients feel comfortable. So you have to be able to know your clients a little bit to be able to help them feel more comfortable. Sometimes that's genuinely just asking them questions. Knowing when you're pushing them too far, knowing when to pull back. Sometimes one of the best things you can do is actually push them a little bit out of their comfort zone. So, say I have a couple who has never done photos before, and to just stand there in front of the camera is stiff and awkward for them. And so, I'm going to push them way outside their comfort zone. Maybe not right away, we'll ease into it. But if I get them to like jump or do like a big physical action that's really uncomfortable and really awkward, all of a sudden, just standing there for the camera feels a little less intense. Take this on a case-by-case basis. It doesn't work for everybody, but a lot of the time, if you get them doing like big body motions and something that really is a little bit awkward or a little bit weird and like a little bit like, it's uncomfortable, all of a sudden standing in front of a camera doesn't seem like a big deal to them anymore. How do I tell if the problem is the way I'm posing people, the way I'm directing them, or just the fact that I'm getting in my own head too much during shoots? Okay, if the problem is you directing them, you're going to notice that they're having a hard time getting into the poses that you want. You have to keep trying to reiterate what it is you're trying to get them to do. That is your direction needing help. If it's the pose that needs help, like you don't have to maybe direct them so much, but they get into the pose and it's just feeling janky and it's feeling like it's not quite working and there's no flow, but the couple's able to do what you directed them to do. So maybe then you have to tweak the pose, or sometimes the pose just isn't working for that particular couple. For example, say you're trying to do like more of a steamy, intimate, like up close pose with a couple that is really uncomfortable with public displays of affection. So you kind of have to tailor the poses to the couple, or depending on height, depending on weight, depending on size and body types and capabilities, you're going to have to tweak poses that are actually going to fit your couple. And definitely getting in your own head is an issue. And overthinking stuff. Man, sometimes it is okay to just say, I'm just going to take a minute to look at the photos and review and figure out how we're going to move forward. I use that all the time. I was like, hey, I just need a minute to look at these and see like where we need to change or like where we need to go from here. And couples are usually quite happy to have like a minute break, to be just like, okay, we're not being photographed for a minute. Like just take a minute. Just stop for a second and look back through the photos and see what you notice and see what you see, as opposed to what you are thinking. Go from like this abstract, like, oh, I don't think I got that photo exactly the way I want to, and like actually look at it. Like take a second and look at it and get out of your head and be like, okay, it did actually look good, or it did actually look bad. It wasn't just all in my head. We do need to fix this. What do you think photographers at my level are usually doing without realizing it that makes their images feel awkward or disconnected? I think my answer to this would be you're trying to control the flow of the session. And you think that it has to run a certain way, and you're trying to get these specific poses in this specific order, and you're not allowing the flow of the session to happen, and you're not allowing everything to naturally unfold, and focusing on connecting with your clients first. Connect with your clients first and let the flow of the session happen, and let your landscape dictate what happens next, and your surroundings and your couple. Are they a high energy couple? Are they a low energy couple? Asking them beforehand, like, what are you expecting to get out of this session? Like, what are you here for and what do you want? And getting a little bit of an answer from them. Not necessarily like, we want 5 photos of us standing side by side holding hands, but like, what are your expectations? Like, what are you hoping to get out of this session? Are you looking for something that's just like really light and fun and we're having a good time? Are you hoping for like some really serious, like moody photos? You're wanting to be like more romantic and intimate. You're wanting a lot of up close stuff. Starting to get an idea of like what it is your clients are wanting and what they're comfortable with. And then allowing things to start to just unfold and following that intuition and following the flow of the session, as opposed to, well, I have these 10 shots that we're going to take and we're going to line it up and we're going to do it this way and I'm going to do it here, 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 which is very efficient if you're doing like maybe a bunch of back-to-back mini sessions. But if you want your photos to really feel connected and cohesive, one of the best ways to do that is allow things to happen and allow your creativity to flow and to follow that and to get into that state of, it's a flow state. It's flow state, right? Like that's what it's called, when like you're just in the rhythm of the moment and following what happens as it happens.